Sydney Opera House, Australia, one of the most recognisable landmarks in the world, and the city that will host the 2000 Olympic Summer Games. Australia's beautiful coastlines are home to many of the world's great sporting events, and today is no exception, as the most famous triathlon in the world, the Ironman Triathlon in Hawaii, kicks off its 1997 qualifying season here on ESPN, with the first of 4 Ironman broadcasts that take place in some of the most beautiful venues imaginable. Hello again, everyone. I'm Phil Liggett, and welcome. I'm here with Mark Allen, 6-time world champion in the Hawaiian triathlon, and the man who knows just about everything there is to know about this great and tough sport. Well, it's the Australian Ironman in Foster-Tuncurry, a venue about 150 miles north of Sydney. It brings together the best of the men and the women. Let's talk about the women first, though, Mark, because Paula Newby-Fraser is back.
Phil, she's back. She's won an amazing 19 Ironmans worldwide. 8 of those came in Hawaii. But she'll have her hands full with last year's runner-up in the winter in 1995, Wendy Ingram from Walnut Creek, California.
And not just the best in women, but as I say, the best in the men as well. Now, the Germans are the people leading the field in Ironman triathlons these days. And you know, Mark, we could see the 1992 course record go here.
The next generation is definitely here. They're led by Thomas Hellriegel. He has been the runner-up in Hawaii the last 2 years. He broke the Canadian Ironman record in 1996. I think he wants to add another record to his stash. It's not going to be easy, though. Last year's winner, Jürgen Zach, is back. But I have to say that my dark horse pick for this race is Peter Reid, the young Canadian who trains with Hellriegel. He was 4th in Ironman in 1996.
And that may not be a bad choice. But let's not forget either the 1,000 age group is taking part in this event. Their ambition is to finish an Ironman, and further than that, to qualify for a place in the World Championships in Hawaii in the fall. The images of the finishers at the Ironman are some of the most vivid in sport. Amateurs who exult as they cross the elusive finish before the 17 hours cut-off. While every finisher is a winner in their own right, only a handful here today, though, can win this event. One is Jürgen Zach, the defending champion, still one of the most feared cyclists in the sport. But now he has rivals on the bike, so he no longer rides alone.
I like this situation better. In the past years, it was me by myself trying to push the pace, and all the other guys were confident with the running and trying to be in a pack. But with Thomas Hellriegel, there's someone on my side.
If Thomas Hellriegel is on Zach's side, it's news to him. He's now the undisputed king of the bike at the Ironman distance and finished 2nd in Hawaii last year.
I'm very motivated this year, and maybe when I would have won, I would be not so motivated. But now I have still my goal, and I will go on and come back to Hawaii.
1996 was breakout year for Peter Reid. He finished in the top 5 in 3 Ironman races, including 4th in Hawaii. But for the 27-year-old Canadian, that's not enough.
After the Hawaii Ironman, I realized in order to be competitive that I had to really improve my running over the winter, and I worked really hard on my run over the winter. And I did a lot of things that I've never done before, so this is a little test to see where I'm at right now.
Paula Newby-Fraser has been through more pain barriers than perhaps anyone. Last fall, she battled Natasha Badman in Hawaii for almost 9 hours before pulling away to an unprecedented 8th win.
I've done a lot of interesting kind of training this year, very interesting, and just a few of the running races that I've been doing have, you know, certainly seemed to have pegged me about as fit as I could possibly be at this time of year.
Wendy Ingram has seen Newby-Fraser's wins from close up, finishing in the top 5 in Hawaii the last 4 years. She won her only Ironman title here 2 years ago.
Well, this is actually the only race I've been consistent in coming back other than Hawaii. This will be my 3rd time here. I like to use this race kind of as a stepping stone towards Hawaii.
It's race morning in Australia as the sun rises over the backwaters of Foster-Tuncurry, and over 1,000 competitors are getting ready for the event. Only 2, though, are members of the Ironman Hall of Fame, 38-year-old Julie Moss and husband and my broadcast partner, Mark Allen. Mark is the early morning bike mechanic as Julie prepares for her first Ironman since 1990. 4-year-old Matt's there is grabbing a little breakfast, unaware of his mother's storied connection to the Ironman. We go back to 1982. Julie Moss led the women's division of the Ironman Triathlon. With 400 yards to go, her body would go no further. Her collapse and these images are the most famous in the colourful 20-year history of the event. Now, just minutes before her first Ironman race in 7 years, those thoughts are behind her, and it's time to write a new story here in Foster Tuncurry. It's minutes before the start of the 1997 Ironman Australia Triathlon, and Mark, this may be the toughest part of the day for these competitors.
Phil, I raced 15 Ironmans. Each race morning was a mental game, trying to relax as the time dragged to the start. You just want to get going and stop all the wondering about your training. Was it enough or even too much? You run every race possibility through your head over and over. After spending last week with Julie, I know that getting the race underway is the only thing on the minds of the pros and the age groupers alike.
Well, Mark, almost 1,100 athletes are in the water and ready to get started on the 2.4-mile swim that starts every Ironman event. The traditional chaos of the swim start spits out a familiar early pattern as the top swimmers push to find open water.
As a pro, you want to do two things early in the swim. First, avoid some kind of disaster, like losing your goggles from a kick in the head. And second, find a comfortable rhythm in the water as quickly as you can in a pack of swimmers where you can take advantage of the drafting effect in the water. It's a long day, so you try to find comfort any place you can. You want to settle in after the frenzy of the swim start where the nervous energy totally skyrockets. Over the course of the day, there's plenty of stress, and this is not a place where you want to expend any extra energy.
The 1997 Ironman Australia is brought to you by Desonex, the soothing cure for athlete's foot.
Both these men have athlete's foot. But only one used Desonex, the soothing cure. Desonex has a dual-action formula that calms the itching and cools the burning. And Desonex is clinically proven to kill the fungus dead. So your feet feel good while they heal. Got athlete's foot? Get dual-action Desonex, the soothing cure.
Say you're an Ironman triathlete. You've got the bulging muscles, the cool sunglasses.
And when you want to cut loose, you've got the bike. The new Ironman by Huffy. The company with 3 Ironman wins since 1990 brings you a ride inspired by the rush of the race. 21-speed Shimano shifting, a titanium boron steel frame.
There's an Ironman in everyone!
The Ironman by Huffy.
I won't go. The jungle is impenetrable. Swamps, marshes, jagged mountain ridges, icy cliffs, raging rivers, arctic winds, quicksand, dust storms, torrential rains. I stay here, but I have a Range Rover. Okay, I bring the kids.
Range Rover. No other luxury vehicle can make you this comfortable.
10 years ago, one school system chose a smarter way to lower costs, lower energy rates.
If the child is cold, if they're not comfortable, then they may shut down.
Every dollar we drive out of the cost of operations goes back into the classroom.
With Enron, we have saved $3 million or more. For us, it is more than energy, it's a sense of well-being.
In Columbus, lower energy rates are saving more than money. What can we help you save? Enron.
Phil Liggett and Mark Allen back at Ironman Australia, where the triathletes are navigating the 2.4-mile swim in Wallace Lake, their figures cutting a white foam line through the water. Up front, 2 men have pulled away from the pack. Number 151 is the Australian John Boxall, a talented triathlete, but not a threat overall. Just behind, Wendy Ingram has a slim lead in the women's race. Wendy is one of the strongest swimmers in the sport and will push to open a lead over her rival Paula Newby-Fraser. Between the two of them, we find another Aussie, Raleigh Tennant in the orange cap, trying to stay on Ingram's feet, taking advantage of the draft as Wendy pulls through the water. Back about a minute, we find defending champion Paula Newby-Fraser. She swims with the confidence that comes from winning 19 Ironman races in her career. In the men's race, a chase pack has formed behind Boxall, and the group includes the best this race has to offer. Thomas Hellriegel in the yellow cap has worked all winter to improve his swimming and even changed the swim club he trains with in Germany. Just ahead, Peter Reed in the red cap and Jürgen Zach tried to put distance on Hellriegel. Both men know that the comfort of the swim will end soon. And here's Mark.
Phil, the tone of the race will be set early on the bike. Setting the pace will be Thomas Hellriegel, the most intimidating rider ever to come to this event. He broke the course record on the bike in the last 2 Ironmans he entered. But keeping up with him will be Jürgen Zach from Germany. Jürgen is one of the few riders who can hold Thomas's pace throughout the entire bike course. One thing's for sure on Zach's mind and the rest of the field, they'll be wanting to keep Thomas's gap to a minimum. If they let it open up too wide now, the race could be done before they even set foot on the marathon course.
Over 40 minutes in the water now, and John Boxall and Darren Turner are battling as they approach shore, both trying to be the first to emerge for the waiting crowd. Approaching the final buoy, Peter Reed in a red cap leads a pack that also includes Hellriegel and Zach.
Thomas has stayed with Reed and Zach. In all honesty, I thought Peter might have a gap over Thomas, but now the pressure's on Hellriegel's competitors. Paula Newby-Fraser looks content just to swim her own pace. No woman here has ever beaten her in an Ironman. Raleigh Tennant is the early wild card in the women's race. Is she just a great swimmer, or can she hang with the elite pros the rest of this long day? Wendy Ingram is where she's supposed to be, in the lead, a few yards ahead of Tennant, but with her mind squarely on her rival, Paula Newby-Fraser.
And up ahead in the men, the 2 Aussies, Boxall and Turner, are only a few yards from shore. And the transition to the 112-mile Ironman bike leg. Back in the water, Peter Reed's mind wanders to a quick change out of his wetsuit and onto the road. Jürgen Zach is right on Reed's feet with the strength of his Ironman just ahead. The defending champ should be confident. Just behind them is countryman Thomas Hellriegel. Both barrels of the German gun are loaded. Ahead in the transition, John Boxall is the first to his bike and out on the road. In the women's race, Raleigh Tennant dolphin kicks to shore a few yards ahead of Wendy Ingram.
Ingram sees Tennant ahead, but is undoubtedly focused behind her, where Paula, still in the water, is approaching shore.
You know, part of the battle of this transition is peeling off your wetsuit as you run to your bike. Behind Zach, there's young Aussie Chris Lee and Thomas Hellriegel on the left. Ahead, out of her suit, Wendy Ingram hurries to get out of the transition. 2.5 minutes behind, Paula Newby-Fraser leaves the water. She's well placed for her 20th Ironman win. For the men, all the guessing is over. Zach and Hellriegel are joined by Peter Reed in transition, who doesn't stick around for long. Hellriegel pulls his bike off the rack like a gun out of a holster. He trains more than anyone else in the sport on the bike, and his results show it.
Like Hellriegel, Paula Newby-Fraser is the premier cyclist in the women's field. She will have the next 5 hours to push the pace on the bike.
And further up the road, men's leader John Boxall rides alone for now. He knows this peaceful picture is about to change as the world's best triathletes are ready to make a house call.
Enter now to win 2 tickets to Mary Chapin Carpenter at the Fox Theater. No purchase necessary. Open only to Michigan residents age 18 or older. Void where prohibited. Sweepstakes ends June 5th, 1997. See official rules for complete details on sweepstakes. To obtain official rules, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Media One's Mary Chapin Carpenter at the Fox Sweepstakes. Official rules, Media One, 21900 Melrose Avenue, Suite 10, Southfield, Michigan, 48075.
No. Oh, yeah. Stupid balls. Who's the man? Come on! Oh, I am the man. Ah! Ooh. Got all of that one. Ah, Sorry.
I don't know why Lindros has got to drop the gloves. Neely and Stevens, they don't fight anymore. They're respected around the league. And besides, I mean, penalty minutes doesn't equate to toughness in my book. I mean, when I think tough, Doug Gilmour's tough. Mark Messier's tough.
You need some more rouge.
Here? Mm-hmm. Thanks. You know, your foundation has looked great lately.
Thanks.
Back to Ironman Australia, where 38 years old Julie Moss is out of the water. Her swim time of under 56 minutes is ahead of her own schedule. But Moss's Ironman experiences go back much further than this event. In fact, Moss and the Ironman have been tied together for more than 15 years. It was 1982 when Moss found herself in Hawaii competing in something, well, called the Ironman.
The seed got planted when I realized I needed to graduate with a senior thesis and I hadn't come up with one. So as a phys ed major, I saw the Ironman on television in the winter of '81 and thought, oh, well, that would probably work. And I basically had about 3 months to sort of throw together a training program and talk my professors into agreeing with it. And off I went to Hawaii in February of '82 for my first Ironman.
And well into the marathon, and Julie Moss was actually leading the race in first place when things started to change.
The drama really happened, as everyone knows, came in the run.
Moss was still leading with only 400 yards to the finish when she collapsed in the road.
I look back on that experience with a lot of mixed feelings, a lot of pride, a little embarrassment.
Moss fought gamely to get back to her feet. She ran once again, but collapsed only to be passed by Kathleen McCartney a few yards from the finish line.
Gee, I wish I could have won the thing, you know. I can see now with experience I could have probably, you know, found a way to win it. And I'm really proud to say that, you know, if I helped motivate someone to get into the sport and they're doing their first Ironman because of me, great. Thank you. I think that's nice. And I think that legacy is something that even now I would like to sort of kind of live up to and finish my career with, you know, with a strong race and starting here in Australia. It's part of this whole thing. It's like saying thank you. You know, thank you for 15 years of recognition and support, and this is my way of kind of giving back a little bit to the sport.
Well, Mark, that moment inspired many people, but perhaps none more than you.
Phil, I watched that race on TV and had no idea I'd do an Ironman, let alone win Hawaii 6 times. I saw Julie in San Diego after that race, and she said, Mark, you should try Hawaii. Well, fortunately, I did.
And didn't you do well? Well, we're back in the transition. One of the sport's best young athletes has reached her bike. Laurie Bowden is almost 10 minutes out of the lead, but the strength of her race is still ahead on the bike, and particularly in the run. Back up front here in the men's race, a lightning bolt is about to strike. His name is Thomas Hellriegel. Moving up on the outside, he passes the swim leader, John Boxall. Then he passes Jürgen Zach and Peter Reed.
Hellriegel makes it look so easy on the bike. His smooth style hints a man who trains like a machine, putting in twice the training miles than most of his competitors.
And just behind, Zach and Reed must react to Hellriegel's bold attack. They don't want him to get away so early in the ride. And in the women's race, the young Australian Riley Tennant is leading, taking advantage of her great swim. The Aussie crowd loves it as she pushes through ahead of her more famous rivals. The most famous triathlete here is undoubtedly Paula Newby-Fraser, and she's already reeled in Wendy Ingram and now moves into second place. By now, virtually all 1,000 competitors have settled in for the 112 miles ride on this 2-looped course, and the lead pack of men has been narrowed to 4. Hellriegel, then comes Jürgen Zach, Peter Reed, and a young Aussie named Chris Lee. But the pack is broken by a cruel twist of fate as Reed and Lee spot a turnaround in the route, while Zach and Hellriegel miss it and keep riding. Zach quickly realizes his mistake and pushes on to catch up to Reed and Lee. But Thomas Hellriegel is not so lucky, losing over a minute before turning around. As the leaders move ahead, Peter Reid looks back to find Hellriegel. Now he knows they've been given a gift. Meanwhile, Thomas Hellriegel rides alone in 4th place.
Phil, each athlete is responsible for knowing the course. Hellriegel's made a huge mistake. Now he's got to fight back.
Only from Domino's new pesto crust pizza. Sweet basil, parsley, and garlic baked right into the dough, then sprinkled with Romano cheese all around the crust. Call and get a large one topping, just $9.99.
Domino's, hot wow now!
This is the future of workout. New Endurox, the natural workout supplement. Proven to build endurance, metabolize up to 43% more fat calories, even reduce muscle fatigue. Whatever your workout, make it count with new Endurox.
Molly, come here.
When you're through providing your own action for the evening, it's Blockbuster's turn, with thousands of ways to make it a Blockbuster night.
They're discovering that opposites attract.
Are you flirting with me?
Whether they like it or not.
What would you do if I kissed you right now?
Michelle Pfeiffer, George Clooney. One Fine Day, rated PG from Fox Video. Rent it tonight at Blockbuster.
Here at ESPN, we wondered what would happen if regular folks got to ride in a NASCAR racing car. Literally sit in the back, lean into the turns, and smell that burning asphalt. Well, out of such fancy was born the NASCAR Ride-Along program. And since we thought of it, we're going first.
Hello, that's not my knee.
Oh, boy. What's the matter? I guess I shouldn't have gotten the big goal.
Did we talk about this before you put the fire suit on?
NASCAR on ESPN. Come along for the ride.
Welcome back to Australia, and the Pelicans of New South Wales marvel at Ironman Australia, where the familiar figure now of Paula Newby-Fraser on a bike has taken the lead of the women's race, passing swim leader Riley Tennant. Newby-Fraser has made up a 4-minute deficit on Tennant on the first lap of the 2 laps of the bike course, and she appears in total control. The same can't be said for Tennant, though, who is battling more than just her competitors.
Yeah, I got hit in the jaw. I've dislocated my jaw. I think I can't chew.
All right.
In the swim, so I can't eat them.
Oh, no.
I tried to eat and I couldn't. Just can't chew. My jaw's offset. My teeth are all crooked.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't hurt, but I can't eat it.
I got plenty of fluids then.
Yeah.
Well, Wendy Ingram doesn't have Tennant's jaw problems, but she's got others, like falling 5 minutes off Paula's lead early in the bike. And up ahead in the men, Zach, Chris Lee and Peter Reid approach the turnaround at Foster, halfway through the bike leg, and still no sign of Thomas Hellriegel.
Hellriegel has actually lost time to the pack since he missed the turn. It looks as if the effort to catch up is exacting a toll, even on the sport's most powerful cyclist.
And at the turn in town, Jürgen Zach draws energy from the crowds and hammers out on lap number 2, determined now to drop his 2 rivals. And far away from town, it's the Canadian Laurie Bowden who pushes to make up the ground she lost in the swim. But for Laurie, how she got here is at least as important as her performance. The Ironman, truly a family affair. Laurie trains part-time in Toronto with her mom, Sandra, who has done the Hawaiian Ironman twice, including last year.
My dad first started doing triathlons, and then a year or so later, my mom joined him, and I thought they were crazy. And it's like, there's no way I'm going to do one of those. I'll stick to running. 10K is far enough for me. But then my dad did Ironman, and I thought, oh my God, my dad's going to die out there. This is a brutal thing, and I thought I could never do one of those. And then the next year, I was like, yeah, I want to do Ironman. So it was the next big goal. And once you've done Ironman, especially in Hawaii, you just want to keep going back.
Laurie did more than just go back last year. She broke the top 10 after turning pro, something her mom had hoped would always happen.
For about 2 years, I wanted her to go pro, and that's what we wanted for her. I mean, do it now. You know, you only live once, and follow your dream.
If triathlon was never there, we would probably never have been this close, because we wouldn't have had as much in common. Most families just sort of grow apart, and
we grew together.
We just grew closer together.
I guess it's a little selfish on my part, is because I've had somebody to do all these things with, and that's been the most fun of all. She's worked so hard, and everyth's coming together this year. Oh, I'm so proud. I mean, I've always known I'm gonna start crying again. That's how I feel, you know. She deserves to place really well this year, and she will.
Well, while Sandra's not racing with Laurie today, she's never far from her thoughts. In fact, the two may race at Ironman Canada later this summer. Up ahead, back with the men, Jürgen Zach, Chris Lee and Peter Reid cruise to an aid station at a pace that threatens the bike course record set 5 years ago. We'll be back with more from the Ironman after this.
Mike and Lawrence were really stoked to go sky surfing with Gary and Amy Haas. Here's Amy with a hen house, a back loop, and a textbook landing. And here's Mike, barely able to contain his enthusiasm.
The X Games, presented by Pontiac Sunfire.
If you ever take your Pontiac Sunfire driving through some famous expressionist painting, it'll fit right in. Because it looks like a work of art, right? And it drives like a real scream. Pontiac Sunfire, driving excitement for around $13,500.
And hey, check out Hard Rock Live, presented by Pontiac Sunfire, TV's only weekly live music series, only on VH1.
Our football isn't played in helmets and pads. Our football has no prime times or ministers of defense. Our football never stops, not for injuries, not for commercials. In our football, playing both ways doesn't make you a superstar, just a midfielder. Our football is played wherever two or more are gathered in its name. In 198 countries, on 6 continents. Our football championship isn't won by beating another city in our own country. It's won by beating every nation on Earth.
The Australian coastline is among the most beautiful in the world, and here at Seal Rock Beach you can find a little piece of paradise for yourself anytime. Not far away, Julie Moss has found her own paradise on the bike course as she cruises through the 112 miles.
I know I never looked this relaxed in any Ironman race. I'll have to find out her secret when we get home. She really looks like she's having a great time out there, which is really what it's all about. You've trained for months for this day. It's a gift to be able to enjoy it.
And while Julie soaks up the atmosphere, well, if any pro enjoys Ironman racing more than Pauline Newby-Fraser, you'd never know it. This is her 25th Ironman event, and she's won an amazing 19 of them. In contrast, this is Raleigh Tennant's first Ironman event. She took the sport up only 3 years ago after watching the race on television. She's in second place. Wendy Ingram is a veteran, so she knows she's giving Newby-Fraser too much of a lead on the bike. She outran Paula here last year, but still couldn't catch her and finished a close second. "75 miles into the men's bike leg, and Jürgen Zach and Peter Reid are breaking away from the Aussie Chris Lee. This is Lee's first Ironman, and the game 24-year-old is making it memorable. Right now, he's holding on for dear life.
The final 35 miles of an Ironman ride can be brutal, and Chris Lee is finding that out for himself. A veteran like Zach smells blood and will push the pace. I've trained a little bit with Chris Lee, and he's a great rider, a tough kid. The race isn't over for him yet, though.
There's no quitting Thomas Hellriegel either, but he is clearly struggling as time checks now show him more than 3 minutes off the lead and riding alone the entire day. He's never raced from behind at an Ironman event, and I don't think he planned it this way either today. And up ahead, Reid and Zach continue to swap the lead between them, while Chris Lee tries not to lose sight of the two frontrunners. Peter Reid and Jürgen Zach, two men together here, but at very different stages of their careers. Reid is the new star on his way up with top 5 Ironman finishes in Germany, Canada and Hawaii last year. But Jürgen Zach could be on the backside of his career. He abandoned last year's crucial Ironman event in Germany, where he was the defending champion. And this great rider no longer dominates on the bike course, where at one time he had no peers. Last year in Hawaii, Zach couldn't catch the men's leaders, so he rode with none other than the upstart Canadian Peter Reid, who was trying to finish his first race in Hawaii after 2 failed attempts. They came off the bikes together a little more than 8 minutes from the lead, but it was Reid who dominated Zach on the marathon course, finishing 4th, while Zach faded badly.
Jürgen has retaken the lead here, but his confidence must be questioned. He hasn't had a good Ironman race against good competition since 1995. He has to wonder if his best days are behind him. For Thomas Hellriegel, this is the first sign of fallibility we've seen in any Ironman. He's clearly hurting and falling further behind. We'll find out a lot about this man on the marathon course.
Say you're an Ironman triathlete. You've got the bulging muscles, the cool sunglasses. And when you want to cut loose, you've got the bike. The new Ironman by Huffy. The company with 3 Ironman wins since 1990 brings you a ride inspired by the rush of the race. 21-speed Shimano shifting, a titanium boron steel frame.
There's an Ironman in everyone!
The Ironman by Huffy.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, Chili's baby back rib. I want my baby back, Chili's baby back rib. Barbecue sauce. I want my baby back, Chili's baby back rib. I want my baby Chili's baby back rib. Barbecue sauce. I got my baby back.
Chili's grills like no place else. Both these men have athlete's foot. But only one used Desinex, the soothing cure. Desinex has a dual-action formula that calms the itching and cools the burning. And Desinex is clinically proven to kill the fungus dead, so your feet feel good while they heal. Got athlete's foot? Get dual-action Desinex, the soothing cure. The Land Rover Discovery can take you just about anywhere in the world. So do pay attention.
Lease a Discovery for $395 a month, $1,390 due at signing.
Back to the coastal town of Foster Tuncurry in Australia, where today's Ironman is not the only sporting event of interest. The town's lawn bowlers are on the pitch in all whites, taking advantage of a beautiful... A beautiful day indeed for Jürgen Zach as he leads, coming to the end of the 112-mile bike course. The only question now is whether he'll break the existing bike course record set in 1992. Looking back, Zach finds he has opened a small gap on Peter Reid as they approach the transition in Foster. Reid has withstood countless attacks by Zach on the way home, and his reward is starting the run almost even with his German rival. And no rewards yet for Thomas Hellriegel, now almost 5 minutes down and realizing an unlikely nightmare is coming true.
I'm always scared of the bike. Maybe it sounds crazy, but when you get tired on the bike, it's a very bad feeling. I know that from training. When I do a 200K hard and at the end I'm completely finished. So I don't like that, so that's why I'm training a lot of bikes. That will never happen in the race.
Mark, it seems it's happened in this race.
It's amazing. The most feared cyclist in the sport who's done all those hours of training just to avoid this situation. He's living in his own nightmare. The Ironman always throws a curve or two. Now we'll see how he responds.
No curves yet for Paula Newby-Fraser as she just builds on her lead. She loves to ride up front, and today is no exception. Still in second place, but 9 minutes back, is the rookie Tennant. Unable to eat, don't forget, because of the jaw problems. You just have to wonder now how long she can keep it up without putting fuel in the tank. Wendy Ingram has two big problems. She's fallen 12 minutes back of newbie Fraser, and she faces a 3-minute penalty for drafting when she gets to the transition area. Ironman events don't allow any drafting on the bike, and Wendy will have to sit. Meanwhile, Laurie Bowden has moved into 4th place, but she is still 20 minutes behind newbie Fraser. She may be the best runner here, and she'll need to be now if she wants to be a factor. Up ahead, Jürgen Zach has reached the bike to run transition. And Zach's bike time of just over 4.5 hours is a mere 3 seconds off the course record mark.
In every Ironman, there's a little luck, and there's no doubt the record would have fallen if Jürgen hadn't lost time when he missed the turnaround. Now it's time for Jürgen to focus on the marathon just ahead, where he has faced some of his biggest disappointments in the past.
And just behind, Peter Reed enters the transition. While he was a minute slower than Zach on the bike, he hasn't yet lost sight, though, of his rival as he sets his sights now on the run.
Phil, Peter can see Jürgen, but the big question is, where is Thomas Hellriegel? Don't forget, Thomas ran a 2:46 marathon in Hawaii last October, and no one in this tent has ever run that fast in any Ironman.
Zach is out of the tent, first pulling his shirt on and trying then to get his running muscles loose.
It always took me about 5 miles to really get my legs convinced that the bike was over and loosened for the run. Jürgen looks a little stiff running out of the tent.
Quickly into his running shoes and hat, Peter Reed heads out to find Zach. And he won't have to look very hard, as they're running only 100 yards apart. Zach grabs for water, as it's about 84 degrees now, a little toasty to start a marathon, Mark.
Phil, that's a part of Ironman racing that I think people really overlook. Most road races start between 7 and 8 in the cool morning air, but every Ironman marathon starts around noon in the heat of the day. It makes a sub-250 marathon very impressive.
I'll tell you what, Mark, Peter Reed has never run that fast in an Ironman, but he knows he'll have to now if he wants to win. Like the bike, the run is a 2-looped course, and Zach is headed over the bridge that connects the towns of Foster and Tuncurry. Reed heads out carrying his own water bottle to make sure he drinks early on in the run. Now, 5 minutes down, Thomas Hellriegel comes into the transition area after the toughest ride of his Ironman career.
Every athlete runs those what-if scenarios through their head, but I doubt if Thomas ever thought he'd be in this position. Ironically, I found myself in this situation in 1995 in Hawaii, when a then unknown Thomas Hellriegel opened up a 13-minute gap. It blew away every game plan I had. For Thomas now, it will be a supreme challenge to hold it together for the marathon.
Well, Jürgen Zach knows it all too well as he continues on over the bridge to Tuncurry, clinging to first place. If he wants to win, he'll have to run faster than he has for quite some time. Hellriegel has never started the last leg so far behind. We'll find out when we come back if he's come to Australia to watch or win.
clogged drain that just won't go away, you need Michigan Plumbing. At Michigan Plumbing, we clean more drains than anyone in town with the most advanced drain cleaning technology available. Open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. The clear choice is Michigan Plumbing. We open drains others can't. Michigan Plumbing, the most diversified drain cleaning you can get.
In the Army National Guard, you'll be challenged like never before. Trained to serve your community and protect your country. You'll be one of the best, able to overcome any obstacle. Being one of America's citizen soldiers is not for everyone. It takes determination, pride, and strength. Accept the challenge and become the best. The Army National Guard. Americans at their best.
You guys gotta find this jerk. I would never charge for my autograph.
That's disgusting. We'll take your case.
You sicko! No longer will you sour the sweet game of baseball! Gary Coleman?
What you talking about, baseball detectives?
To Liga with Mark Allen, we're back at the Ironman Australia Triathlon with these playful porpoises unconcerned with the great race unfolding on land. Back in the transition, Paula Newby-Fraser is off her bike in just under 5 hours. She's built up a lead of over 12 minutes on her nearest rival.
Paula's an amazing rider. Her time today is in the top 20 overall, including the men. And she's been doing this for years.
And over in the town of Tuncurry, Jürgen Zach's lead is evaporating as Peter Reid closes in. He's now just 10 seconds in front. So as the run begins to tell for Jürgen Zach, back on the bridge, Thomas Hellriegel is still 5 minutes behind and is unaware of the events unfolding just ahead. Peter Reid has started this marathon like it was a 10-kilometer road race. He easily pushes past Zach and into the lead.
Phil, Peter told me that he's been working on his triathlon running by going for long runs right after the bike so he could get a faster start to the marathon. Running fresh is very different than going for a run after 112 miles on the bike. He's looking really smooth and he's only 3 miles into the marathon.
And Paula Newby-Fraser, well, she's out on the run too. The crowd appreciates this great champion who has won Ironman races here, in Germany, Canada, Japan, the Canary Islands, and oh yes, Hawaii 8 times. Back on the bridge, heading now to Foster, Peter Reid has opened up a 20-second lead over Zach.
I'm sure Peter will want to attack and break Jürgen's spirit as early as he can. Jürgen's tenacious, and he doesn't want him coming back later in the run.
Thomas Hellriegel's recovered 30 seconds on Zach and Reid, but he knows now Reid is in the lead. He passed them both back in town. Back at the transition here, Raleigh Tennant arrives, still in second place. The Aussie crowd appreciates the effort by this 28-year-old Iron rookie.
I'm amazed she's been able to stay in second after getting kicked so badly in the swim. A lot of people would have just given it up and called it a day.
And just behind her, Wendy Ingram comes off the bike and is immediately pulled over to the officials' table to serve a 3-minute penalty for drafting.
Many races now allow drafting in triathlons, but not in the Ironman. Officials feel like this is the only way to keep triathlon truly an individual sport, the way it started.
Well, Mark, the penalty doesn't seem to put a damper on Ingram's spirit, and once again we see why. She has earned the nickname Wingnut for a carefree attitude towards the competition. Nothing carefree, though, about Peter Reid right now as he pushes up a beachside hill in first place on the second lap of a course now coming somewhat confused by the age groupers because they are out on their first lap. Behind Reid, Thomas Hellriegel is closing in and is ready now to eliminate the only obstacle between them, Jürgen Zach. Hellriegel surges past his countryman and on into second place. Now back in Foster, Ironman Hall of Famer Julie Moss is off her bike in just over 5.5 hours. She's now well ahead of her own schedule and obviously still enjoying the day. Just above the local fisherman, the most talented runner in the women's field heads out to Tuncurry. Laurie Bowden is 23 minutes behind Newbie Fraser, but she stunned everyone in Hawaii last year. She ran a 3:12 marathon, the day's best.
No one expected that fast of a run from Laurie because she's really only been competing full-time for a couple of years. She has a ton of talent, and the best is still to come from her.
Well, this is turning out to be quite a day for the Canadian. She's in 4th place and boyfriend Peter Reid is in 1st. Can he hold on? Back with more after this.
Mike and Lawrence's next stop, Hoffman Bikes, owned by the amazing Matt Hoffman. While Matt showed Mike around the place, Lawrence really got an inside look at the bicycle business. Accounting, public relations, taking inventory, you name it. Matt couldn't believe how quickly Lawrence took to it. And when the entire factory team saw that Lawrence even knew some bar tricks, they really went wild.
The X Games, presented by Taco Bell.
It now appears that Shaq is suffering from a neck injury.
Of course we're concerned. That's one valuable neck.
Shaq is suffering from taco neck syndrome, TNS. It's caused by his craving for delicious Taco Bell tacos. And he's getting worse with every neck-bending bite.
There's nothing funny about TNS.
It's not natural.
It's a conspiracy, man.
Get some more of those tacos.
This is the future of workout. New Endurox, the natural workout supplement. Proven to build endurance, metabolize up to 43% more fat calories, even reduce muscle fatigue. Whatever your workout, make it count with new Endurox.
It might not be easy to talk to kids today, especially about marijuana. But if you don't do it, who will?
Back at Ironman Australia, where Peter Reid is trying to hold on and win his first Ironman race. He knows Thomas Hellriegel is gaining, and perhaps being in front is not a great place to be right now, Mark.
It's always much easier to be the hunter than the hunted, and Thomas has cut Peter's 5-minute lead to 3. Hellriegel and Reid know each other very well, and in fact, they're sharing an apartment here in Australia this week. Twice last year, they raced against each other, beginning in Canada.
Reid and Hellriegel rode together at the lead for the first 40 miles, but Thomas attacked on the climb at the Richter Pass and left Reid behind. Hellriegel went on to shatter the bike course record by over 15 minutes. Cruised in the marathon to win the race by more than 17 minutes. On that day, Reid was no match for Hellriegel, but he hung on for 2nd place and he learned that he needed to raise his game. But here today, it's a different story as Reid has outrode Hellriegel and built a lead. But no lead is safe, and Reid looks back to see if his rival is still there.
Whether you're trying to win your 1st or your 20th, you never know who might be behind you in an Ironman. But in this case, Paula's lead appears safe. Behind her, Wendy Ingram has fought all day to catch Raleigh Tennant, and now she's there as Tennant is forced to walk through an aid station. The Ironman has its highs and its lows, and Raleigh has seen them all. Ingram is now in 2nd place and has shaken off her disappointing ride and the penalty.
Well, Jürgen Zach's disappointment is only beginning. Aussie Chris Lee runs past him and into 3rd place.
Winning your first Ironman race is definitely the toughest. Over the course of a day, every doubt creeps into your head, and Peter Reed is no different, wondering about Thomas and his own ability to finish strong. Hellriegel is pushing as hard as he can, showing he can bounce back from adversity. Even if he doesn't win, he's making a statement with this fight.
Sean. Having a regrouping here.
She calls it a regrouping, walking through an aid station to get plenty to drink. It's a trademark of Paula's at every Ironman race, and it works for her. The lead is 15 minutes and number 20 is in sight. Now in third place, Laurie Bowden's smile makes you think. Has she remembered that boyfriend Peter Reed promised to marry her after his first Ironman win? And what of Mrs. Mark Allen? Julie Moss, the 38-year-old mother, is now in the top 10 in the women's event as she cruises past the men in the marathon. The 1997 Ironman Australia is brought to you by Embassy Suites Hotels. Reserve on the internet or call 1-800-EMBASSY.
Relax. You are now entering a stress-free zone. A free breakfast will be prepared for you daily. You will rest in a comfortable 2-room suite. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Unwind with evening beverages and enjoy yourself here, because eventually you'll have to go back out there. Embassy Suites, twice the hotel. Call 1-800-EMBASSY.
For the people of the Philippines, electricity was always a fact of life. It just wasn't a very reliable one. Sometimes the electricity worked just fine. And sometimes it didn't. Until the Filipinos said, "We're tired of this." So they invited Enron in, and for more than a few Filipinos, the power is on in the Philippines. Enron.
Andretti, kart's winningest driver. Vassar, reigning points champion. Tracy, king of the hill this year. The race for the PPG Cup revs up. The Miller 200, today at 2 on ESPN.
A beautiful picture of Foster Tuncurry in New South Wales and the conclusion of the 1997 Ironman Australia Triathlon, where the crowd has gathered to watch Peter Reed win the first Ironman race of his career.
Phil, you're never really sure you've won until you cross that line. Peter's taking one last look to see if the ghost of Hellriegel is close enough to haunt him.
Well, he's not there, Mark, at least not close enough, as Reed is going to win for the first time at the Ironman distance. Behind Reed, a determined Thomas Hellriegel pushes into Foster. He got as close as 2.5 minutes to Reed, but could get no closer and must now settle for second. And at the finish, pain has turned into celebration for Peter Reed as he approaches the line.
Phil, this has been a very impressive performance. This is a quality field, and for Reed to come here and win, it means he's truly one of the best in the business.
For the first time ever, he breaks the winner's tape in an Ironman. His winning time, 8 hours, 8 minutes and 50 seconds for the man who lives outside of Vancouver. Thomas Hellriegel, just a quarter mile from home. He didn't win today, but it was a very gutsy performance. Mark Allen is with the champion.
You said you really worked on your run this winter. It seemed like it paid off today.
Yeah, in the past I had the problem of fading in the last 10 kilometers, and I managed to hang in there today, but that last 5 kilometers I was running scared, and having Thomas close the gap on me, I was really afraid that he was going to take the victory right at the end.
Is this a message to the other guys for Hawaii this fall?
Oh, definitely. This was a big test to see where my fitness was, and it's way ahead.
Well, congratulations, Peter.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, Peter passed the test. This will be 2 second-place finishes, though, in a row for Thomas Hellriegel after his runner-up performance in Hawaii last fall. But you know, Mark, he shouldn't hang his head, should he?
He showed us a lot today, considering the mix-up on the bike, but he bounced back and he ran a marathon full of pride.
And the time, 8 hours, 13 minutes for Hellriegel. Also, he will race next the Ironman Europe this July, and it's a race you can watch here on ESPN. So here's the men's final standings at the 1997 Ironman Australia Triathlon, with Peter Reed on the top of the leaderboard. Thomas Hellriegel, again a runner-up. The bright young Aussie star, Chris Lee, with an impressive debut in third, and Germany's Jürgen Zach led off the bike, slipping away to fourth. Approaching the finish in the women's race, an Ironman history is about to be made, as Paula Newby-Fraser is set to win her second straight Ironman Australia title, which will be the 20th overall win of her career. And well behind Paula, a determined Wendy Ingram limps towards the finish line as the runner-up here for the second year in a row. Mark, 20 Ironman wins for Paula. What a woman.
You know, they say records are made to be broken, but it's really hard for me to imagine anyone winning more than Paula has. I mean, these aren't races you can do every week or even every month. They demand the best of you, physically, mentally, emotionally. Paula is simply the best.
And she crosses the line for her 20th win. She breaks the tape. And the time, 9 hours, 8 minutes and 22 seconds. She has started in 25 career Ironman races. She's won 20. Wendy Ingram's limp has grown worse, as she is obviously in some pain now, but won't stop short of the finish line.
Like Hellriegel, Wendy really had to hang in there and showed everyone that despite the pain, she's got a lot of guts.
And still outside of Foster, Laurie Bowden continues her strong push on the way to what may be the fastest women's marathon of the day. She's sitting comfortably now in third place. And let's go back to the finish, where Mark now is with the women's champion.
Paula, congratulations. A lot better race than last year, I'd say, huh?
Yeah, much better, much better. It's funny how it sort of all comes together. It's number 20, I finished 20th. It sort of all worked out well.
Was there a point in the race where you're finally able to just relax and say, okay, number 20's coming, I've got this thing in the bag?
I pretty much had a steady day. I didn't go after it quite as hard. I may have run a little fast on the first lap, and you know, I had a few stomach problems, but I would say I knew on the second lap I could slow down a little bit, and I didn't have to beat myself up too much.
Well, I got to say, 20 wins, that's amazing. Is there anything left undone for you out there in the sport?
No, it's all personal gratification now.
Good. Paula, congratulations.
Thanks, Mark.
So to the final women's results here at Ironman Australia show Paula Newby-Fraser's dominance of the field, winning by a comfortable margin. She'll race next at the Ironman in the Canary Islands, which can also be seen here on ESPN. Wendy Ingram is second, only 2 minutes ahead of a hard-charging Laurie Bowden. And as for swim leader Raleigh Tennant, she faded to 8th place after the marathon. And how about this? Julie Moss, age 38, comes across the line in a remarkable effort of just over 10 hours. And that's good enough for 7th place overall for the women. Her first Ironman race since 1990 has been an undeniable success.
Aston Duncan, 24 years old.
It used to be Julie looking for Mark Allen. It's changed a bit this year.
Oh, and okay. From Newtown in Victoria, 33 years old,
So husband Mark Allen, himself an Ironman Hall of Famer and 6 times champion of Hawaii, says hello to his wife.
Here's Aston Duncan, 24-year-old lifeguard. His first time across the Great Bridge Line.
I was doing all this time training.
40 people hard. Just on 850 to go, and we eagled it in here.
Julie's finish still leaves a legion of almost 900 Ironman athletes out on the course, slugging it out in the heat against the elements. But for Julie Moss, this Ironman day is over, and there's time now for her to reflect.
Part of me was thinking, oh, I wish this had been the race that I said I was going to do, and that would be it, because it was perfect. Now I've got to go to Hawaii, because I said if this went well, I would go to Hawaii, finish up there, mostly for emotional reasons and with a sense of completion and closure there. But I know that's a tougher race. I love the intimacy here of keeping you close to home. I'm really psychologically, it's good for me to see people. Hawaii, they send you way out there and sort of hope you come back. So yes, I will be in Hawaii, but with this race under my belt, anything that goes on in Hawaii is okay, because I know I've sort of got that little bit of that athlete thing still in me.
Well, it's sounds as though Mark Allen will have to stay at home this summer looking after the family while mum, Julie Moss, goes out training. And like her, these Ironman competitors also have the spirit that make these events so very special. They'll labour far into the night to reach the finishing line before the clock strikes the cut-off time. We'll be back with 3 more Ironman events on ESPN this year. And so until then, this is Phil Liggett for Mark Allen saying so long from Foster Tuncurry and the 1997 Ironman Australia.